So let's move on to the next question, guys. In this question, we are given that there are a total of 8 different magazines, out of which 4 belong to fashion magazines and 4 are related to sports, right? Now we are asked that if 3 magazines are randomly selected out of these 8 total magazines, what is the probability that at least one magazine will be selected? At least one fashion magazine will be selected, right? So I think I've told you before also in some questions that whenever there is some kind of word that you have to calculate the probability of at least, then what we do is that we take the opposite case of it, right? And then we subtract the entire set or the all the possible cases with the condition that is given. Now let me explain you what I mean by that. For example, we are asked at least one fashion magazine will be selected. So that means there can be one fashion magazine that we select, there can be two fashion magazines, there can be three fashion magazines, right? Because we are selecting three magazines, so one can be fashion, the second can also be fashion, the third can also be fashion, right? So in all these cases, what we do is that let's assume we do not select any fashion magazine. So if we do not select any fashion magazine, we take out that and we take out all the possible cases and then we subtract both of them. So we will automatically get that at least one fashion magazine will be selected, right? So what I mean is that, for example, we take total cases, right, minus no fashion magazine is selected. So we take the total cases possible. Total cases means in the total number of ways we can select 3 magazines, and we subtract the number of that, and we subtract that no fashion magazine is selected. Let's suppose that. So what we will get is at least one fashion magazine is selected. FM is fashion magazine. I've just written the short form for now. So if you take the total cases and you subtract that, for example, no fashion magazine is selected, so you will automatically get that at least one fashion magazine is selected. Now there can be 1, 2, 3, whatever, we don't care, right? So now tell me one thing. There are a total of 8 magazines and we have to select 3 magazines, right? So in how many ways can we do that? We can do that in 8C 3 ways. There are total 8 magazines and we have to select 3 magazines. So the total cases will be 8C3, right? Minus. Now we assume no fashion magazine is selected, right? That means all the magazines that we select are related to sports, right? So there are 4 sports magazines and we are selecting 3 magazines. So that becomes 4C3. I hope this makes sense. Why? Because we have to assume that no fashion magazine is selected. There were 8 magazines, 4 were fashion, 4 were sports. We assume no fashion magazine is selected. That means all the magazines were sports. So there are 4 sport magazines, and how many do we have to select? We have to select 3 magazines. So that is why 4C3. So this becomes your final answer, right? So this will give you the total number of ways in which you can select at least one fashion magazine, right? So what will be this? For example, 8C3 is 8 factorial upon 3 factorial, 5 factorial, 8 into 7 into 6 upon 3 into 2, 3 to the 6 cancels, 56. So this is 56 minus, right? What is 4C3? 4C3 is nothing but 4. I hope this is clear. Okay, over here, I would like to tell you one more thing. If you don't know the formula, you should know NCR is equals to NCN minus R. You should be knowing this pretty well. NCR is equals to NCN minus R. For example, 4C3, right? So 4C3 will be equal to 4C, 4 minus 3, 1. So 4C3 will be equal to 4C1. And what is 4C1? 4C1 is 4, right? Because NC1 is N, right? So NCR is equals to NCN minus R. So 4C3 will be 4C1 and 4C1 is 4. That is why I've written 4 over here. Right? Okay. Now tell me one thing. What this comes out to be? This comes out to be 52. This comes out to be 52. Right? So there are total 52 number of ways in which at least one fashion magazine can be selected. Right? And total how many ways were there? Total cases were 8C3. Right? And what is 8C3? 8C3 is nothing but 56. So the probability becomes 52 because these were the required cases, right? So 52, the favorable ones, that is 52 upon the total. The total is how many? 8C3, which is 56. I hope this makes pretty good sense. So now if you just solve this, so this comes out to be 4 1 the 4, 13 upon 14. So 13 upon 14 is your final answer. The probability that at least one fashion magazine will be selected is 13 upon 14. So first we took out the favorable cases, which is total cases minus no fashion magazine is selected. That will give us the cases that at least one fashion magazine is selected. So there were total 52 favorable cases. Now the probability is favorable upon total. So favorable is 52. The total cases were how many? 8C3, right? And 8C3 is what? 56. So 52 upon 56, which is 13 upon 14. So I hope this should be absolutely clear.